Today we have a very special session by our Hindu culture and Seva class. So I will now hand it over to them.
Okay, so we're doing a gratitude project today, and we have a list of speakers from different classes. I would like to allow our first speaker, Radhya, from the um, Super Hanuman class, to please share her story.
Hi, y'all. My name is Abradia and I'm from Super Hanuman. My story is from the Ramayana. When Ram was building a bridge to Lanka, he was building a bridge with big boulders. So when one monkey was carrying a boulder, he saw a little squirrel, and the squirrel put little pebbles in between the boulders. So the monkey started teasing the squirrel. So when Ram heard all this teasing, he went up to the squirrel and told the monkey it was nice of the squirrel to help, and picked up the squirrel and stroked his back with 3 of his fingers, causing 3 lines to appear. Even today in South India, you can see squirrels with 3 lines on their back. So the moral is to be thankful to others and have gratitude. You should be thankful for your teachers, volunteer teachers, and school teachers. You should be thankful for your doctors and nurses, and you should also be thankful for grocery workers and farmers for producing food you need.
That was wonderful. Thank you. I would like to have our second speaker, Inushiri, in the Bal Bhagavatam class, please come up to share her story. Hariom.
Loudly.
Hari Om. My name is Anishri. I am in Bal Bhagavatam. Hari Om. My name is Anishri. I am in Bal Bhagavatam. Did you know that gratitude leads to happiness? Yeah, if you think really hard, there are millions of things to be grateful for, which means you are looking on the bright side. My parents have taught me how to practice gratitude from A to Z. Here's how. Everyone says something that they are grateful for that starts with A, then B, then C, then D, and so on until Z. We usually do this when we are walking in Central Park. If you have not done this before, it might seem difficult and hard, but once you're used to practicing gratitude, it will be very easy and fun. Here are 10 things that I am grateful for. My family, healthy and yummy food, trees, nature, air, earth, Dadu and Dadi, Nani and Nanu, comic books, Gandhi. What are you grateful for?
Okay, that was very nice, Anushri. Rohan, I think we're ready for the next person.
Okay, so fourth we have Maya from the Keys to Success class. Hariom.
Hariom. My name is Maya and I am in Keys to Success. This has been such a crazy year, but especially during this time, it is important to be thankful for what we all have. This year, I'm thankful for having a roof over my head and a caring home. Also, being able to spend the holidays with my family, and as well as keeping my family safe. I'm so grateful to have my Dadi and my Febas for teaching me bhajans over the phone all the way from Toronto. Over the past year, I've realized that we are very fortunate to be healthy and safe. We are also very fortunate to be able to spend all of this time together, even though sometimes it's a little hard. I'm especially grateful for my Balvihar teachers because my Hindi teachers are helping us read and write in Hindi, but also my Keys to Success teachers because they make class very fun while also teaching us. Speaking of teachers, I'm grateful for my school teachers because they have to teach from an online perspective, which can be hard. I remember at the beginning of the year, it was really hard to be at home and around my family all the time. We didn't know what was going to happen, but I feel like this year we can end off on a more positive note, knowing that we have all been able to get through this year together. Thank you.
Very good. Our next speaker is Radha, and she is in India, my sacred land. Hariom.
Hariyo, my name is Radha, and I am in India, my sacred land. I am grateful for Bhavahar because it gives me the opportunity to learn about my religion. I learn from my classes and Shubhani. I appreciate how hard the Bhavahar teachers work to help us understand where our origin is. I'm thankful for the Hindi teachers because they help me speak and write Hindi. I'm thankful for my family because they are there for me whenever I need them. I'm also grateful for my parents because they help and guide me when I need it. Through COVID, I have spent a lot more time with my grandparents and parents. I'm thankful my family is safe and healthy through these tough times. So this is a story about gratitude. So one morning, I gave my teacher a cookie and a card about how I loved health class. I told her that I felt relaxed when we meditated, and I loved learning about resources to help calm down. She said that she didn't eat much for breakfast, and she was very grateful. She said that I brightened her day. I learned that even the smallest things can make someone else very happy. I also learned that when you fill someone else's bucket, your bucket doesn't lose anything. Thank you for letting me share what I'm grateful for.
Wonderful. Next, we have Ira from Shishu Vihar. I would like for you to. Okay, good.
Hello, my name is Ira, and I'm from Sisui. And gratitude means being thankful, and thankful makes me being happy. And I love my mom.
What are you thankful for, baby? Can you speak loudly?
My mom, and I like it because my mom's cake and my mom because she ran into the world.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Now, the next speaker we have is Abhishek, who is a parent.
Hari Om, everyone. My name is Abhishek, and I'm Pranati, Anushri, and Abhay's dad. Pranati is in Krishna Krishna, and Anushri, who just spoke, is in Bal Bhagavatam. I want to talk about gratitude. Gratitude is an important part of our daily practice. And I practice gratitude by sending loving wishes to objects, things, persons, situations that I'm feeling very grateful for. But I want to emphasize that it is a practice. It is not something that comes naturally. I have to practice gratitude very consciously. But whenever I practice gratitude, it makes me feel very good and positive. So I wanted to share a few ways that we practice gratitude. Anushri just shared the A to Z gratitude list that we often practice when we are walking in the park or even around the table, where everyone goes around and talks about, hey, A for apple, or B for Bal Vihar, that we are grateful for. Another example is having a jar of gratitude in our house. We built over Thanksgiving, we built a turkey of gratitude, which where we wrote little slips and things that we were thankful for, and built a turkey with that. Sometimes when we give each other a dose of gratitude, where we say, hey, let's talk about 3 things that we are grateful for at that moment. So these are all very different ways of counting our blessings. We can, sometimes I also look at the smallest things or seemingly small things. I'm very grateful that I wake up in the morning. I'm very grateful that I can stand up, go and drink a glass of water and enjoy that water. The alternatives could be very and wouldn't be very nice. So even on our worst days, we could actually look at the positives and feel gratitude for the blessings that we have. And another aspect I wanted to talk about was sometimes things don't turn out the way that we wish for. But it's only in hindsight. Some of these things are like the biggest blessings that I have in my life. So I would like to end up with words from a Hindi poet, Harivansh Rai Bachchan, who said, "Man." Man ka ho to acha, man ka na ho to aur bhi acha, which means that when you get your desires, that is great. But when you get the alternative, that might be even better, because that might be God's desire for you and God's blessings for you. So on that note, thank you everyone, Hari Om, and we are very grateful to be part of this family. Thanks.
Fantastic. Our next speaker is Anaga, who is a parent.
Hari Om, everyone. My name is Anagha. Back when we were able to go and do the Balvihar classes, I would help with setup and bhajan. My daughter Turiya is in Super Hanuman. I help with the teacher. I help the teachers this year. So this year, I think, has been a challenging year for all of us, including me. When I thought about what I was most grateful for at this time, the first thing that really came to my mind was Shubhani ji. I know she's here and I hope she doesn't mute me, but I'm eternally grateful to her at this time, because when COVID hit out of nowhere and I was in the first phases of like the uncertainty, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my family? Her daily classes, the Mahamrityunjaya Japa, the Gayatri Japa, all the various things she did for our community that I was able to be a part of, really grounded me at that time and helped neutralize all of that nervous energy that was in the air, at least in my mind. And I was able to channel it into something positive. So at this time, this year, I'm like exceptionally grateful to her. The other thing I was grateful for this year was all the time that COVID brought me. Before that, like most New Yorkers, life was so busy, going from work to school to drop offs, pickups, weekend activities, classes. So much time was going, going from place A to place B. All of that extra time, I truly appreciated spending all that extra time with Turiya at home, talking about various things, reading the Mahabharata with her as part of summer camp, talking about the various incidents, the anecdotes. I also made it a point this year to WhatsApp with my mom for about an hour every day. I think this is something that I'm doing for the very first time in my life. She finally has the time and I finally have the time where we can do this every day, which is somewhat funny and very ironic, but true. So just sort of like looking at the silver lining of COVID and taking advantage of all this extra time that it brings us and channeling and using it for something positive is something that I've been trying to do and I'm so grateful for. Yeah, finally, I think I would like to again express my gratitude to this wonderful community we have here, and all the positive activities that we can participate in and just sort of like come together as a wonderful group. So Hari Om, everyone.
Okay, thank you for speaking. I would just like to thank all of the speakers for speaking. You guys did a wonderful job. I'd also like to remind people who still want to speak next week that there are a couple spots more open on the 12th, and we will be circulating the links after the session to apply. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you to everyone who spoke. That was really nice, and it was really wonderful to hear all of your gratitude messages. And I think what's really important is, even if times are pretty challenging outside and we can't do the same things that we used to do, I think what's really nice is if we have that opportunity and that moment to realize that we are still so blessed and we are still so lucky because we have each other. So we will conclude with these gratitude sessions next week. So as Rohan said, those who would like to sign up and speak, please do that. We would love to hear from you. Rohan, we have a question here. When are the ebook messages due?
I'm not really sure about the question, but like if the ebook messages for next week, when they're due, I would assume they're due the Friday before class, because that's when we're helping all the kids revise and kind of help put their story into a better format.
Okay, okay. So I think what would be helpful is if we get all that information on one email and we send it to everyone so that we can have your messages in our ebook and we can also listen to next week. So let's all do the arati. Before we do the arati, I would just like to share with you one very important project by Chinmay Mission that's ongoing right now and which I hope all of you can attend. It is called Tapo Gita Jayanti Fest, and I'll share my screen so that all of you um, can see. So today, Chinmay Mission has launched a online talk series of the Bhagavad Gita, and for the next 18 days, we're going to have a Swamiji or Swaminiji speak about the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita every day. And for us, it's from 8:45 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. So these are, today we had Puja Guruji, Swami Tejomayanandaji speak. And tomorrow we will have the succeeding Swamijis and Swaminijis speak. So please, please watch it. It's every day in Chinmaya channel. This is because we want to celebrate Gita Jayanti, the birthday of the Bhagavad Gita, on December 25th. In addition to the 18 chapters, we will also be having on Chinmaya channel language talks. So Bhagavad Gita in different languages. So in Hindi, Kannada, Malayalam, in many, many, many different languages. So I hope everyone can watch. And we are going to have a huge festival. And we also have Gita chanting. And we will have a huge festival on December 25th. Now, in addition to this, Chinmaya Mission, because of Tapo Gita Jayanti Fest, they are giving out free Bhagavad Gitas. So if you go to chinmayapublications.com, and which I will share with you now, you can get your free copy of the Bhagavad Gita. I think they will charge for shipping, but you can get your free copy. So it's right here available on chinmayapublications.com. If you search Holy Gita, you'll be able to get your free copy. And we also have our e-copies available. So we'll put this on WhatsApp and on your emails so that you have it. But please take advantage of this wonderful Tapo Gita Jayanti Fest for the next 20 days or so. Now we will have the Arati, and then everyone can go to their classes. Right. Arati Shri Chinmaya Sadguru Ki Divya Rupa Murati Karuna Ki Arati Sadguru Ki चरणों में उनके शांति समाए शरणागत की भ्रांति मिटाए पाप ताप संताप हरण की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया, शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। सिद्ध बारिकी तपोभूमि में, नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे, भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की, आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की, आरती सद्गुरु की। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। So everyone can take arati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay. Have an awesome class and we will see you next week. Hey Om. Okay. So now, not last week, but the week before, we were on the topic of vasanas. So you saw these questions in this poll that we did. What is a vasana? A vasana is a very deep impression. It's a deep impression, it's a habit, it's something that's present in my subconscious mind, and it's something that comes very natural to me. So it just comes very natural to me, and it is formed over repeated thinking of something, or because I repeatedly did that action, it becomes a vasana. There are both negative and positive vasanas. And we talked about both kinds of scenarios. Negative vasanas are like they express as anger, they express as greed, as jealousy, as all of these emotions. Positive vasanas expresses devotion, as knowledge, as clarity, so as purity. They express as that. What is the role of vasanas in a seeker's life? The, the thing is, when we want to be good, when we want to transform, when we want to do things better, we try, but sometimes something blocks us. So we want to do something good, but something blocks us from it. We want to be better, but something blocks us from it. And that block is usually a vasana. So even if I'm learning all of this knowledge of how to be a better person, it's hard for me to practice it because of my past habits, my past tendencies. So what do I do with these vasanas? So with these negative vasanas, I have to watch them, identify them, know what they are, and weed them out slowly, slowly, because these vasanas are the ones that are blocking me. And the deeper rooted they are, the harder it is or it will be to root it out. So the first thing I have to do is be very clear in my life about what are these vasanas that are blocking me, and slowly, slowly find a way to root them out. But how do you root them out? We root them out through having a higher purpose, higher vision, higher goal. When I put something like that in my life, when I have some kind of direction, then these negative vasanas are able to go, they're able to leave. If I have a great goal of, changing society or bringing up more value education in society, then all my time, my energy is consumed towards that. So I have no time really to let my negative vasanas even want to come out. There's no time because they have been channeled into something much greater. So this is what I have to do. And this happens through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, hatha yoga. We've spoken about karma yoga, selfless work dedicated to a higher purpose. Bhakti yoga is connecting to God through my emotion. So through that emotion, being able to connect to that God in the form of doing japa, in the form of contemplating, in the form of singing, writing, being. Hatha yoga, connecting to God or that higher through the practices, various practices of discipline, asanas, pranayama, etc. And jnana yoga, connecting to the higher through the pursuit of this knowledge of truth. So these are ways that actually help to change or transform those negative vasanas to positive vasanas. And once I have more positive vasanas, that's actually a great stepping stone in a spiritual seeker's life. When my negative vasanas have become positive, when my mind, my thought texture, my mind starts to become positive, that is a great step in a seeker's life. How long do I have to practice these positive vasanas for? I have to practice these positive vasanas until they are my nature, until they become a part of me. So until I'm naturally good, I have to keep practicing to be good. At first, it might seem unnatural, but I have to keep doing it until it's natural. And once I'm naturally that way, then I can be a witness or an observer of my very own mind. Because remember, Vedanta is from sattva to beyond sattva, from that sattvic mind to beyond that sattvic mind. And this is how slowly, slowly one becomes deeper in their seeking. So this much we have seen about vasanas. Now we're moving on today to chapter 12, which is called Gunas. What are Gunas? So Gunas are thought textures of the mind. How vasanas express is they express through what we call gunas, these various thought textures. There are three gunas that we see in the world and in our very own minds. They are called sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattva guna, sattva is one of purity, of clarity, and of knowledge. So it is that mode of the mind or even mode of the world that brings about purity, clarity, knowledge. Rajas, or that rajasic guna, is that mode of the mind or the world that brings about a lot of passion, a lot of activity, lot of disturbance. Tamas, or the tamasic guna, is that mode of the mind or the world that brings about inertia. And everything our scriptures say is composed of these three gunas. Everything is composed of sattva, rajas, and tamas. So where do we see it? We see it in the times of the day. There are certain times of the day that are highly sattvic. Like what time? At 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning till about 7 or 8 in the morning. It's a highly sattvic time. It's a highly pure time in the day. 9 o'clock in the morning becomes a very rajasic time. becomes very full of activity, full of work, full of going here, full of going there. After lunch becomes a very tamasic time. So it's hard to stay awake at that time. It's hard to do anything really concrete at that time. Hmm? So you'll see times of the day have this. Certain animals also have this. You take a cow is a very, very sattvic animal, but you take something like a tiger, it's very rajasic animal, or you take a buffalo, could be very tamasic. Our foods that we intake also have this. So fresh fruits and vegetables are sattvic, they energize us. Caffeine is very rajasic, it keeps us up and awake and alert. And certain tobacco or alcohol can really dull the mind. It's very, very tamasic. Hmm? So things that dull the mind are tamasic. So we see them in times of the day, we see them in animals, we see them in food, we see them in movies. Some movies or some things that we watch could be very, very sattvic. Some could be very rajasic and disturbing and makes it very hard for us to sleep. And some could be very dull, tamasic. So when we see these expressions, it helps us as a seeker to examine our own mind. So it's not that this chapter is not to look at all the people we know in our house and say, this person is very tamasic, this person's very rajasic. It's really to examine our own mind and to see where are we coming from as a seeker, because our vasanas express as these gunas, express as these qualities, and the goal is to go towards sattva and then even beyond. Hmm? So let us all, let us take one by one the gunas and then we will go forward. First, we will take up tamasic, because I think we are very familiar with it. It is part of our lives. What is a tamasic kind of mind? A tamasic kind of mind, they are they express as this inertia. And what kind of inertia? Ignorance. That kind of mind that doesn't want to better themselves. The kind of mind that says, you know what, life is all about this. It's all about just eating, drinking, being merry, being with the family, and that's it. They don't want to seek beyond. They're very, very content with what's going on. It's an intellectual inertia that they're sleeping to higher knowledge. This tamasic kind of mind is also sleeping to their potential. They're not the kind of mind to say, I can do more, I can do better, why not grow, why not do all of this. The tamasic mind is, this much is enough and I'm done, I'm only doing this much. So there's an intellectual inertia to knowing the truth and to even knowing one's potential. This tamasic mind is also the kind of mind that expresses as alasya or laziness. Just plain lazy. They don't want to do anything. They just they want to do the work with the least amount of effort. So in everything they will always find, what is the least amount of effort that I can do it. So it's very lazy kind of mind. Not only lazy, but this tamasic kind of mind is also pramada, means negligent. Sometimes they forget also. Maybe you told them to do something, or you sent them an email and say, well, what kind of did you send an email? Did you really send it? Forgetfulness. They forget what's going on. Not only that, but they procrastinate a lot. They procrastinate a lot and they say, okay, yeah, I'll do it. But then they wait at the last minute and then they do it. A very, very tamasic kind of mind. It's very dull. It's very difficult to talk to that kind of mind. Huh? They're buried in their own inertia, and there's no sense of wanting to better themselves. Now, please see, there is all of this is in our minds, huh? Because all of these gunas are there in our minds, just of varying proportions. What is a rajasic kind of mind? A rajasic kind of mind is full of desires, full of passion. This rajasic kind of mind cannot sit still, you know, like they will see in their calendar, in their Google calendar, if there's some empty space, they have to fill it up with something. There's a constant notion of having to fill up every single minute of the day has to be filled out with this rajasic mind, because this rajasic mind cannot sit still. It has to be always doing something, always going here, always going there. You know, if there's nothing, they'll just pace back and forth back and forth. They'll just do that, or they'll just shake their legs and move their arms. There's so much effort that they do because they just need to move. They cannot sit still. This kind of mind is also the one that gets into fits of anger. You know, is able to just, because the mind gets so disturbed right away. And this kind of mind gets involved in greed, wanting more and more and more for themselves, and keep going on and on and on and on. So this rajasic mind just goes everywhere, from here to there to everywhere, just pursuing everything. And as a result, they get so tired. Because the mind cannot be still. That is called rajasic mind. Now we come to the sattvic mind. What is the sattvic mind? Sattvic mind is that mind which is very calm and very collected and peaceful. That mind can just be. It doesn't need to always have something. It can be absolutely still and absolutely quiet. And it is in this sattvic mind that knowledge can take place. When we're listening intently, for knowledge to take place, it requires this kind of steady and still mind. When knowledge is taking place with a rajasic mind, the rajasic mind may misinterpret, may not read properly, may hear also something else, may actually put their own likes and dislikes into it. The way they interpret that knowledge will be very different, because that's the kind of state of mind that they're having. With sattva, it is called yathartha jnanam, that knowledge takes place as it is. With tamas, that knowledge, half of it disappears, because the mind is either spaced out or just very drowsy or sleepy, that knowledge cannot take place. So if we want knowledge to take place, it requires that kind of mind which is highly sattvic. Because all of these other modes of mind, when we have them, we do not express as our best self. Why is it one should come to a sattvic mind? Why should one come to a sattvic mind? So first, as I said, when the mind is sattvic, knowledge can take place. Proper knowledge can take place. It's not actually the amount of time that we focus on something, it's how deeply we're able to focus on something. When the mind is there, you just see how less of a time you need to do something. That is called a sattvic mind. In that sattvic mind also, the best decisions in our life are made, because that sattvic mind has the capacity to think about the whole picture and to think with clarity. A rajasic mind will always have their own likes and dislikes and see divided. It is said that the The sattvic mind is able to see knowledge as a whole and is able to evaluate things very, very well, while a rajasic mind tends to divide everything, very, very divisive. And a tamasic mind tends to take a part and make it the whole. Just they take one part and they make it the whole. And you know this, sometimes we see in news articles, one little part of it, they make that the whole news, and they forget what is everything, what is everything there, what is the whole picture. This sattvic mind is also the most calm mind. So if I want to bring myself to a sense of calmness, then the mind must be in sattva. If the mind is in rajasic mode, there's no being calm. It's going to always fluctuate back and forth, here and there, always go. It's so exhausting and it's so tiring for the mind to be in that frame. And it's no wonder that people get stressed, because it's not really because of their physical work, it's that the mind is moving so fast. And then the tamasic mind, that's the opposite also. It doesn't move. It doesn't move. It's just still. So the sattvic mind is where my best decisions are made. Sattvic mind is where I am the most calm. Sattvic mind is also where the seat of creativity lies. Whenever we have to create something, whenever we have to make something, it doesn't come out of hurry or force. You know, like make something, you put something out there, let's put something out there. It doesn't come beautifully like that. Have you seen in nature, does anybody hurry in nature? Does the sun hurriedly rise or hurriedly set? Does the flower like hurriedly bloom? Hurry is not in nature. It is something that we made because we feel like we can get more done by doing this act. In that sattvic mode, the best moments of creativity come. The best revelations, the best insight, the best being able to reflect into who I really am. That rajasic state of mind, yes, we can get work done, but is it inspiring? Is it life changing? Is it enlightening? And that tamasic mind doesn't get work done. The tamasic mind is, you know, the kind of mind, and I know all of us have been with this kind of person where you have to run after that person. Did you do this? Did you do that? Oh, I forgot to do it. Did you do it? No, I will do it. Did you do it? No. Oh my goodness, I didn't remember. Now I remember. Now you told me, now I will do it. This tamasic mind is that kind only. So we see the expressions of these minds in our daily living. It's very much there. And as I said, all of us are a combination of these minds. And Gurudev gives us a very beautiful example, that in how people drink coffee. In different parts of the world, people drink coffee differently. So if we go to Gujarat, what is coffee like? It is a little bit milk, little bit of coffee powder, but lots of sugar, isn't it? Or if we go to Punjab, how will the coffee be? Lots of milk, little bit of coffee powder, some sugar. And if we go down south to Tamil Nadu, how will it be? Lots of coffee powder, less milk, and some sugar. And so all of it is coffee, but in varying combinations. Like that, all of it is our mind, but in varying combinations. And we will see how this expresses in our daily life. You know, how does a sattvic person wake up, or rajasic person, or tamasic person? How a sattvic person wakes up is very different. Without alarm clock also they can wake up very peaceful, sitting down, taking some time to reflect. That's how they would wake up. How would a Rajasic person wake up? Alarm clock's ringing, and then they put it off, and then 2 minutes they delay, 3 minutes they delay. Then they rush to go to the shower, rush to put on the clothes, rush to eat, rush to do this, rush to do that. And then they're sitting on their desk, and then they're eating, and they're doing so many things at one time. Oh, you get exhausted just thinking about how that person is, isn't it? Now, how a tamasic person would wake up, they wouldn't wake up. They wouldn't wake up. They would just be in bed for as long as they possibly can. And when they feel like it, they will wake up. This is tamasic person. We can see how they express in writing emails when we communicate to each other. How a sattvic person will think very clearly, everything will be organized, everything will be laid out well. How a rajasic person will be all over the place. Is something they're talking about, then something else, then something else, then something else, all over the place. How a tamasic person would be. Did you send me an email? Am I supposed to reply to anything? Hmm? So we see these expressions in our daily life. Hmm? So, what have we seen so far? We've seen that these vasanas express as these thought textures, whether they are sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. We've seen how sattva or sattvic mind expresses through purity to clarity, through calmness, how a rajasic mind expresses through so much overwork and movement and lots of disturbances. And we've seen how tamasic mind expresses through inertia. We've also seen that everybody is a combination of all of these minds. Predominantly, we will be one, but we are all a combination of it. And we've also seen why the benefits of sattva. Why should we cultivate a sattvic mind? Now, is the sattvic mind the end all or be all? So, in the beginning of spiritual life, we should all strive for a sattvic mind because, as I said, when the mind is sattvic, we have the best quality of life. And you know from our previous studies that the world is only how we see it. So, for example, you take a phone, you take a mobile phone. It is not the phone that gives us an experience, it is how we look at it. Some people will look at it and feel very bound. Some people will look at it and feel like it's a way to connect with the world. Some people will look at it and think of social media. So, what we're really experiencing in the world is not the world per se, but what we are experiencing is our view of the world, the way our mind responds to the world. That's what you and I are experiencing every day. And that's why your family can have the same Thanksgiving dinner, but everybody will experience it differently. It's the same food that's on the table, it's the same people that's around, but everyone is experiencing differently. The sattvic mind will always experience everything beautifully. That sattvic mind has the capacity to do that. So, in life, if I want the best quality life, the best kind of experience, then that lies not really in what's outside of me, but that lies in having a sattvic mind. Now, is it enough to just have a sattvic mind? In Vedanta, remember, the highest sadhana is to transcend that very mind, is to know that we are beyond that very mind after we've become highly sattvic. Sattva or a sattvic mind And I'm saying this very carefully, we need to cultivate it. We need to cultivate it. And once we are naturally sattvic, once sattva is our deep vasana, then the next sadhana for a spiritual seeker, this is for an advanced spiritual seeker, and I'm telling everyone this, I'm telling all of us this, so that we know what is the next step when we get there. But our first step is to cultivate a sattvic mind. The advanced sadhana for a spiritual seeker is to even transcend the mind, because even a sattvic mind is bondage. Hmm? Sattva, rajas, and tamas, these are all like chains. Tamasic mind is like a bronze chain. Rajasic mind is like a silver chain. And a sattvic mind is like a gold chain. It can also still be binding. Tamasic mind, it binds through ignorance. It keeps us in ignorance, because that tamasic mind doesn't want to go beyond ignorance. It doesn't want to see further. It has that intellectual inertia that it is content with whatever is around it. So it binds through ignorance. The Rajasic mind binds through activity. As I said, this Rajasic mind can never keep quiet. And so to pursue the truth, or to pursue God, it takes silence, it takes calmness, it takes quietude. But this Rajasic mind is bound by activity, because it cannot sit still. It finds it very difficult to do. What about a sattvic mind? What binds a sattvic mind? The sattvic mind is bound by sattvic joys. Remember, what happens is, sattvic mind, when one's mind becomes sattvic, they start to want and crave sattvic joys. They want things to be quiet, they want things to be peaceful, they want things to be calm, they want things to be clean. Is it wrong to want that? It's not wrong to want that, but sometimes there's an insistence on that everything around me should be sattvic. Everything around me should be pure. Everything around me should be calm. But it's not always like that. It's not that we will always be able to have a sattvic mood at home. Sattva also binds because it creates a subtle ego. When we start to become sattvic, we think that, oh, we are so sattvic and we are better than other people. And you don't know what you're talking about, because I'm attending self-unfoldment satsang, so I know, but you don't know. I'm sattvic. It bounds through that, it binds through that very, very subtle ego, which one develops when they become better. So even this sattva is a bondage at the end of the day. It is binding. It binds by us insisting for things to be quiet, things to be sattvic, or us insisting or feeling like we know more, or that we are so sattvic, or that we are so divine. It creates that ego. So, what is one to do at the end of the day? To transcend that very mind. As we said in vasanas, once we become naturally sattvic, or naturally good vasanas, once we cultivate, then become a witness to that mind. So whether the mind is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, I have nothing to do with it. I am just a pure witness. When is that possible? That's only possible after one becomes sattvic. To detach from the mind like this it's very hard. It's not easy. But it is required, because at the end of the day, what we require is purification of the mind, but not perfection of the mind. We cannot make the mind perfect, because it will do its own thing. The mind's nature is to go from tamas to rajas to sattva. Its nature is to do all of that. At the end of the day, you and I are two witness that very mind and know that it is but a tool, it is but an instrument that is going from here to there to everywhere. And that is called going beyond the gunas or gunatita. Hmm? And this is very well explained in chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, one more angle of these gunas we will see, and then we will see if anyone has any questions. One more angle of these gunas is, and it's given in the self unfoldment text, we had back in the day, and still now, what we call Varna system. Varna system, which is wrongly translated as caste, but Varna system was a system that was created based on the gunas of the mind. Okay, so based on the gunas of the mind, based on how a person's mind was, whether they were highly sattvic or rajasic or tamasic, then this classification system was created. Classification is done in all fields of life, in all walks of life, for the purpose of efficiency. So, for example, in Bal Vihar, we classify by grades because of efficiency. In New York City, we classify by borough because of efficiency. At work, you may classify by department because of efficiency. In the same way, and this happens in every place, every work company, people classify based on certain things, certain characteristics. So in Sanatana Dharma, the vision, and this is in our Bhagavad Gita, was they classified people based on their gunas. Because they said that when we classify people based on their gunas, certain gunas are very well suited to certain karmas or certain actions. So, therefore, people having certain gunas, it would benefit them if they have or engage in certain actions. And this way, the whole society will prosper. And that was the vision of this Varna system. So people who were highly sattvic, then a little bit rajasic and tamasic, they were called Brahmana, not by their birth, but their mental temperament. And this can change. Our mental temperament can keep changing. And so, because they were highly sattvic, they said, you need to be the teachers of society, the teachers, the doctors, the mentors, the advisors, because your mind is highly sattvic. And because your mind is highly sattvic, you will be able to envision very well. You will be able to be holistic. You won't have any personal likes and dislikes because you have that sense of purity. And because of that, this is where you should engage in. That's where you will prosper and where society will also benefit. Then the minds that were predominantly rajasic, with some sattva and tamas, they said, you must be the politicians. You must be the people in the government office. You must be the leaders of society because you've got that dynamic action to lead, to get things done, to initiate. Because that Rajasic is restless. They want to do something. They want to make things work. They want to go here. They want to go there. So you have that in you. You might as well engage in this particular field for your benefit and the benefit of everybody. Then for that mind which had some tamas and then rajas, they said, now you have that knack of collecting, of creating wealth because of the temperament of your mind. You should be the Vaishyas of society, the ones that can really create, can build wealth, can collect resources. This is where you will survive, you will thrive, and society will also thrive if you are able to do this for society. Then there were some minds which were tamasic, then rajasic, then sattvic. That mind are those were the Shudyas, means the supporters of society. Means they didn't want to lead, they didn't want to guide or envision, but they were the ones who said, whatever you need to do, we will do. And so they said, you be the supporters and the backbone of society, and therefore you will benefit and everyone will benefit. And in this way, that Varna system was created so that people would thrive. But over the years, what happened was it got misinterpreted and selfishness kicked in. Whenever selfishness kicks in any profession, everyone takes a hit. So, what happened was in the Brahmanas, selfishness kicked in. That we know all of this and nobody else should learn. We shouldn't teach anybody else, so that all the money, everything will go into us. And that selfishness kicked in, polluted the society. Same with the Kshatriyas, that power, when you're a Kshatriya, that power is supposed to be used to protect everybody. But when it becomes a selfish means to collect money unnecessarily from the people and for us to just enjoy life and get whatever we want and not take into account what other people are going through, then corrupts society. And so, in this way, because selfishness crept in, our society became corrupt. It became corrupt, and this Varna system was misinterpreted to be, if you're born in some as a Brahmana or Kshatriya, that's where you are, because they didn't want anyone else to come into that circle. This is what happened. But slowly, slowly, society fixes itself. So this is where it stemmed from. Now I'm explaining to you this because this is in this chapter, and it also has its roots in the Bhagavad Gita, but you can see where the roots of it is. It's for the most beautiful functioning of society, but it was taken out of context. So you can see the play of gunas in all of these various areas of life. But the most important is to see the play of gunas in our very own mind. Because it is as I said, if we want the best quality of life, it is not going to be how much money you have, what your Facebook status is, and how many followers we have in Twitter and all. It's not going to be anything like that, but it's going to be, is my mind sattvic? The more sattvic my mind can be, the better the quality of my life can be. And after I reach that certain point, then slowly, slowly, I can be that observer of that very own mind. Okay? So we will stop here. And if anybody has, yes, so an enlightened person will definitely have all three gunas, because we all have all three gunas, but predominantly sattvic. That's correct. Yes. Okay. So when you see you're being rajasic or tamasic, how to navigate to being sattvic? So the first most important thing is, whenever I'm tamasic, I cannot go to be sattvic. It doesn't work. Whenever I'm tamasic, I have to go into rajasic mode. So whenever I am sleepy, drowsy, like inertia, that prayer, meditation, doing some good thing is not gonna work. So if I'm tamasic, take a walk, exercise, wake yourself up, wash your face, take a shower, put yourself into activity, give yourself some tasks, make yourself move, because tamas can only go into rajas, it cannot go into sattva. Now, when I'm being rajasic, how can I navigate myself to sattvic, to being sattvic? One thing we must all do is take some more pauses in and through our day. For example, if we are just eating, just eat. Just eat. There was one story, this one teacher, there was one philosopher teacher, And one student came to visit him, and the student came to visit this teacher, and he did everything the student did. So the student looked at that philosopher teacher and said, "You're just like me. There's no difference. I eat, you eat. I sleep, you sleep. I cook, you cook. I exercise, you exercise." The student said, "There's no difference." The philosopher teacher said, "Listen, yes, it's true. We all do the same things. But when I eat, I just eat. When I sleep, I just sleep. When I exercise, I just exercise." So, how to cultivate that sattvic state of mind is to take more pauses. We don't always have to have so many things with us all the time, isn't it? Sometimes when we're eating so many things, when we're working so many things, when we're doing so many things, take pauses and slow down. Physically watch ourselves slow down and take moments where we can just focus on our breath. We can just breathe. Take moments where we're just pausing. Take moments to just relax and be. When I'm able to incorporate these slow pauses in my day, I am able to slow down. Hmm? and and don't feel like if I do that, then I'm wasting time. That is the biggest misnomer, that my relaxation, my deep breathing, my sitting quietly is a waste of time, or it's wasting time, or it's taking up too much time. That itself is going to give me so much more efficiency than I would otherwise get. Hmm? So to become sattvic is take more pauses throughout my day, and also surround myself with sattva. Surround myself what I eat, what I watch, what I see, who I speak to. Surround myself with sattva. When I surround myself with that, then I become like that. Hmm? Is that clear? Yeah. Okay. All right. I have another question here. Did the corruption of Varna begin as early as Mahabharata, when Kshatriya were seen becoming selfish, and Ramayana? So, yes, it could have. In Mahabharata, definitely we see that in that very Varna, or in those very posts, they were becoming selfish. And it is a very sad thing that, yes, even there, you can see the beginnings of that, becoming selfish in your own Varna. Sometimes tamasic and sattvic vasanas can be exchangeable. One may say I'm lazy, and another may see me as calm. What are a few clear points that distinguish sattvic and tamasic vasana? Okay, this is a very good point. So, see, two things, sattva and tamas, they are very much alike. Very much alike in the sense that sometimes you see somebody who's just sitting quietly. Now, are they just lazy that they don't want to move? Or is it that they are immersed in God realization? What is it? Tamas comes from a sense of emptiness, while sattva comes from a sense of fullness. Hmm? So, a tamasic person may be very steady and still, but their life is empty. Their life is empty. There's no uh, there's nothing concrete that they've really done with their lives. But a sattvic steadiness comes out of fullness. You can see that there's being still, it radiates a sense of peace. It radiates a sense of beauty. It radiates a sense of love, because it's coming from that. But whereas tamasic is coming from complete emptiness. So there's always this example that they give, where somebody's rowing a boat, and someone asks them, "Oh, you're rowing a boat, you're sitting here and rowing a boat. Why don't you, make more money? Why don't you work hard, maybe buy another boat And then, that way you'll have two boats and you'll have more customers and you can make more money. Then he says, but what will happen when I make more money? Then, you'll be able to have a nice house, a better, bigger house, and you can give more things to your family. But then what will happen when we do all of that? Then you can go for vacation, you can actually take time out and you can be peaceful. And then what will you do all of that? Then you can sit nicely in the boat and relax. You say, I'm already doing that. Why am I going to go pursue all of that? Isn't it? Right? So, that example for a sattvic person, for one who's already full, they don't need to go pursue all of that because they're already full. But a tamasic person, you bet they should go through all of that because they're empty. So, this is the main difference. One will be out of emptiness, one will be out of fullness. In one, there won't be peace of mind. In the other one, there will be total peace of mind. So sometimes they do look the same. I'm struggling with the higher goal needed to overcome negative vasanas. Any good examples of what has worked or who has successfully done this? So, one example that always comes to mind is, let's say, an athlete. If an athlete wants to achieve something, what happens is they are able to just focus on that one thing alone, and they're able to weed out all the negative things like junk food, excessive sleep, excessive socializing. They're able to weed everything out because they really want to compete, let's say in the Olympics, or they really want to do something. They are able to completely weed everything out. So that is some one kind of thing that people do. Another is, people who have started certain organizations or institutions where they are really benefiting other people. Either they're feeding the hungry, or either through education, either they're offering support. They're so busy giving to people, they have no time to do anything for themselves, in the sense they have no time to be selfish. Like if you take also Swami Vivekananda, when he traveled all over India, he just felt so sad with the whole condition of India or Bharat at that time, that he said he's going to do every single thing that in his life to be able to nurture and give to people. So that sadness, hurt him a lot. And so he transformed. He said, I'm going to make my life all about giving back. So that kind of feeling has to come with us. What is it that you're really passionate about? What is it that really touches you? What is it that you want to give towards? And when you find that, you just keep doing that, and you will see all that selfishness will shed, all that negative vasanas will shed. But you must have that thing. Is that clear? Yeah. Okay. When the witnessing is not really meant to label. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna, he says, okay, he created these four varnas, and this is what he did. But when we look at the word witnessing, what does witnessing actually do? So when we are witnessing, in the sense that we are observing these different gunas in society, and we're saying, okay, this is what they should do, and this is what that should do, and this is what that should do, in that sense, that witnessing in that sense should only be for how or what can be the best efficiency, or how do we make the most efficient use of it. But for a seeker, witnessing is really that I have nothing to do with that mind. That's really what witnessing means, that I have nothing to do with that mind. That mind is moving, it's doing its thing, it's going here, it's going there, but I have nothing to do with it because I am that pure self. So for a seeker, that's the kind of witnessing to be done. It's not so much to label, to classify, to do this, to do that. Yes, that is required in a work setting or in a public setting. And if that's what's to be done, then it must be done out of sattva. Again, out of that broad picture, out of that efficiency. And if things change, then that also must be changed. Hmm? But the kind of witnessing that we're focusing on is solely to understand that I am different from my mind. Being sattvic could be mistaken for someone who is not competitive. Where does one draw the line of being content with material possessions? Every one of us could be content with what we have today, yet we are all seeking more. Can you be sattvic but continue to seek material things and wealth? This is a very good question. Sattvic, what when we want, or when we say we are sattvic, that doesn't mean we don't strive for material things and wealth. But here's the difference, okay? When I am sattvic, I can strive more, but I am striving more to give more. When I am rajasic, I am striving more to get more for myself. You see the difference? So it's not that if we're sattvic, we will not strive out in the world. We can strive, we should strive, but the attitude of striving is very different. Yes, I would like to make more wealth or create more wealth so I can give more. I can give more back to society. Yes, I would like to reach a higher position so I can make more of a difference, more of a positive difference in society. It's not, but it's different from I want more money because I want to enjoy life more. I want more comforts. I want a bigger TV. I want a bigger apartment. Huh? That is extremely rajasic. Or I want to be in a certain position because I just want everyone to know who I am and I want to come out in this Time magazine in the cover and all of that. That is a very rajasic thing. Hmm? So there's a clear difference between the two. So you can still strive, you can still go deep, but get more to give more. Clear? Okay. Okay. Few more questions and we will close. When you are saying I am different from my mind, is it I the soul? It is I the self. Okay. Sometimes soul is the word used for jiva. So I, who is different from the mind, means I atma, the self or that pure awareness. Doesn't witnessing apply more to self mind than to witnessing others' gunas? Because witnessing is an activity to seek awareness, not judge others. This must be the only goal of witnessing. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Witnessing applies more to self mind because it's about me, It's not so much to judge what's happening in others' minds. Because what you and I are concerned about is, can we improve? Can we go deeper? Can we become better? And if we can, then everything else around us will follow suit. All right. So we'll stop here. Think about the gunas this week when you reflect.